Thanks for joining us, Jon. We're also here with Chris Boomer Beachum, our senior editor, who's joining us from Tupelo, Mississippi. Jon, Chris is proof that people beyond this city of Hollywood know these awards better than we do. Matter of fact, I think Chris was the one who called your Emmy win that year, weren't you, Chris? In 2009 when Jon won.
Take us through, why you made that decision.
Well, the first couple years of the show, I was in the lead category, but it was really becoming apparent that the Alan character wasn't carrying the narrative weight of the show. That really, it was the Charlie Harper character that the show was resting on, and so after a couple years of it, I just thought, it's silly. I'm not the guy who has to be in every scene of the show. Charlie Harper is, and so I thought, what, I should take a back seat here and go into supporting, that felt accurate to me up until halfway through our 8th season, when clearly the writers started putting a lot more of the narrative weight on the Alan character for a whole bunch of reasons, and I just the reality of it is the show, that Ashton and I are co-leads on the show. That's just the way it is now, it seemed like then the lead category is the appropriate category.
Now, we think, by the way, Jon, this is a really brilliant move strategically that you're making. Chris and I, let's give you a little context from our side on the awards front, and that is there are many stars. Allison Janney is certainly a good example from West Wing, who won in supporting. Patricia Wettig is another example from her old show, and then they ended up winning in lead when they moved on, when they decided to make the leap up. Chris, you agree that the comedy actor category now is weak enough this year that the timing for Jon is perfect, don't you?
Well, that's why I asked the question to your rep. It's not that it's weak. There's a lot of great people there.
Exactly.
But with Steve Carell being gone, and Matt LeBlanc was nominated last year, but his show didn't air this season, there's at least a couple of open slots. Let's put it that way.
Yes,
so it's good timing on your part.
Putting it. Then pretty much the category is just sucking now. So Jon's got an opportunity.
It's all about available parking spaces in Los Angeles here, and there happen to be a few available parking spaces here for you to park in, Jon. That's how we're looking at it, to be realistic. You've proven that you're a winner, that you've proven that you're yourself a nominee. You have earned the right to advance to the lead, and as you've proven that you could win there if you do. Now, making the jump, assuming you get nominated, and all of us believe, by the way, Gold Derby, that you will be nominated there, you have to pick an episode, and you've been very good at this in the past. Obviously, you picked Sir Lancelot's Litter Box was, of course, the episode you won for in 2009. Have you narrowed down what the submission might be for this year?
Well, I might not be that good at it. I did lose a lot more than I won, so I might not be that good. I don't know. This year, I would probably go with the episode where Alan came, where the episode where Alan came back from the mental health rehab facility. Besides the fact that I think any episode with Gary Busey in it is just gold. Let's face it, the Academy loves Gary. But also, it was great fun for my character, and I don't know. This is all kind of alchemy. I haven't seen a lot of the episodes this year. I've just been kind of the workload is so much heavier for me this year that I haven't watched all the episodes. So I'm gonna take a few weeks off and then come back and probably watch them again and figure out from there.
Well, by the way, Chris Beachum is always available for coaching here. There are many stars, including Cynthia Nixon, and Ty Burrell last year, Jon, who ended up winning because they listened to Chris. There's a video at Gold Derby from last year where you can watch Chris talking to Ty Burrell saying, "Hey, Ty, what episode are you going to submit for the Emmys?" And he says, "This one." And Chris goes, No. Pick that one." Ty listened to him and he ended up winning. There's a video at Gold Derby where you can watch Cynthia Nixon actually thanking us for Chris way back in 2004, getting her Emmy back in the last year of Sex and the City. So we're pretty good at this.
Oh, okay. Well, then, have you been able to watch the show this season, Chris? Or
I have. I was thinking about the one that you just said, and I was also thinking about the one right before where you really start. I think it was the one where they brought in or changed out, took out the piano, and you started
Oh yes.
channeling Charlie. So both of those to me were really, really strong choices for you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, those were super fun, and yeah, I'll have to watch them again and take a look. I mean, I know that most people just assume that I TiVo all of my shows and just watch them back to back every day. Just and sit in like a threadbare robe, drinking a brandy Alexander by myself, watching the show. But no, I need to get a little distance on them and see what works.
By the way, our forum poster Jay Siddell believes that you should submit Frodo's headshots. I don't know which one that one is, but everybody has.
I believe that's the one. Yeah, because Alan comes home and
Okay.
a kid named Frodo, and that Frodo's career is going to be as a child actor. So.
Take us back to the
one.
Take us back to the Emmy win that you had for Sir Lancelot's Litter Box. You not only directed that episode, but it had a funny storyline. It was one of Charlie's girlfriends was moving into you guys, right? And you're packed into your bedroom with all this stuff, and you have to. I mean, set it up for us because this is what the Emmys are all about. It's having to pick one sample as your best work from the whole TV season, and you win or lose based on how smart or unwise you are on the selection, and you nailed it that year, and it was a very special one for you. Tell us about it.
Well, when I all through the season, Chuck had been saying, "Do you want to direct one?" And I said, "Sure," except it's got to be one that I feel like what I did would be good for it, because what you bring to something as a director. There's no point if you're not the right guy to direct that episode. It doesn't matter, So what was fun about that episode was I got to do a lot of physical stuff, which I really love doing. I got to do a full fall from in a shower. I got to be crushed by a cat tower, and that was a lot of fun. Also, a lot of it, was hanging on Alan's discomfort with the new situation, with the fact that Charlie's girlfriend had moved in, and I don't know, between me and a lot of, by the way, we have a woman named Jeannie Segal, who is our tech coordinator on the show, who is fantastic in terms of camera placement, and our camera guys have great comedic instincts. One of my favorite shots in that show was where I'm on the other side of where Charlie is out talking to his girlfriend on the balcony, and I'm inside, and you can just barely hear my displeasure. And the shot there was totally the idea of Brian, one of the cameramen, and it worked great. And so I felt like a lot of what I brought, which was just a very silly sensibility to the camera work, really paid off in that particular episode.
You just got your first SAG nomination. I mean, you're really peaking here in terms of awards momentum, isn't he, Chris? You just hosted the TV Hall of Fame ceremony. You're getting as much awards cred as Neil Patrick Harris here, John.
No, he is the great one. You don't even speak of me in the same sentence with Neil Patrick Harris. I was actually he and I did a show together in New York, and I was fortunate enough to perform with him on the Tonys last year. And he's just a force of nature, that guy. I stand in awe. And so, no, the Hall of Fame thing I actually got tricked into. Basically, up like a week before the ceremony, I looked at my invitation. I said, I wonder who's seeing this thing, because I wonder what sucker they're going to convince to do that. I got a call from Bruce Rosenblum, the head of Warner Brothers, who stopped by the set, and I was like, "Oh, it's going to be me." But it was great fun, and it was great also to honor the other people. I mean, my producer Chuck Lorre was honored there that night, but also. It was Don Francisco from Sábado Gigante, and that was amazing. William Frawley and Vivian Vance were also honored that evening, and it was great to be a part of that. You know, I love being a part of the TV history that I loved so much as a kid. That's one of the main reasons I got into this business, is because I just, I was addicted to television as a kid, and to be a part of this thrills me all the time.
Chris, what questions do you have for Jon? Let me pass off to you here.
Well, beyond award stuff that we talked about, I mean, what's the future of the show? Is Ashton going to be coming back? And I'm assuming now that we're into mid-April, I mean, you are going to have another season, right?
I don't know. I don't know yet. There's a lot of, unfortunately, because everybody was booked up through the 9th season, everybody's contract has to be renegotiated. So, and a lot of people have to come back in order for this thing to work. So they're in the midst of those negotiations now, and Ashton has told me he wants to come back, but we'll see how much he wants to come back when his deal is done. And obviously I've had an amazing run on the show, but I've also, if the last year and a half has taught me anything, it's to have a certain amount of peace with the show not necessarily going on. So I'm fine both ways, and I've loved doing this character, and would thoroughly enjoy doing it some more.
What else, Chris? Do you have another question? I'm going to see if we have one last tweet question while you get one more question in yourself. Go ahead.
Well, Tom mentioned the Screen Actors Guild nomination. It's kind of interesting that you're getting one this late in the show's run. What you've been in the Screen Actors Guild a long, long time. What did that mean to you to get that kind of recognition with the nomination?
Well, I got a phone call very early in the morning that day, and generally for the last year and a half, phone calls early in the morning have not been very good. I don't want to pick up the phone that early in the morning because somebody's been arrested or somebody's in rehab or whatever. And but this was from my publicist, and was obviously very good news. I have no explanation for why it came now.
They finally feel like you're doing good work.
Yes, exactly. I finally did something. I don't know. It's who knows why these things happen, there was a friend of mine lived in the same apartment building as one of the people who was on the nominating committee. And I think at one point they were in an elevator, and he said, that Jon Cryer guy's good. I think that's what it boiled down to, actually.
Well, good luck this year, Jon. It'd be great to see you moving on up, and let's hope you can take another big chunk of gold. Thanks for joining us today on the very first episode of Derby Talk, which, by the way, will be Emmy eligible. So maybe if we can convince Jon Leverance, who we were just speaking with here, to let guests of internet shows win, you know what? We could be filling up your mantle.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.